Welcome, folks. It's been a long time, but it is so exciting to be able to do a comic talk with you and to have this guy in the house. That's right, from Japan, live, Gray, Wakazachi's Tea House. How are you, my brother? How are things going in the great nation of Japan, the island that you are on, my friend? What's going on?
Things are going good. I'm Genki. Thank you very much, Pops. How
Yes.
about you? Are you doing well?
I am. I'm keeping the wheels greased, getting here doing this stuff,
Good.
flipping through some funny books and watching some make believe movies. So yeah, life couldn't be better. I feel blessed, better than I deserve in so many ways, and it's so great to be able to get a chance to touch base again, talk about comic books a little bit, touch what's kind of been going on, some of the different things that are on our minds, and that kind of thing this morning. So, folks, we talked about it briefly. And I thought, what better person to kind of have? Because he's the reason I read it. He's the reason that I ended up down this rabbit hole to begin with. It's made me so happy. Gunslinger Spawn turned 25. That's right. So issue number 25 dropped. And it's a super cool thing to kind of know that's where we are, Gray. Like, I'm like, wow, we made 2 years. We're still rolling. And
I wanted to ask you actually, are you still reading any of the Spawn titles? Are you still enjoying them if you are reading? Because it has been just over 2 years now for Gunslinger and for King Spawn.
yeah, I'm still in. I'm a little. I'm not as consistent as you and some other folks who are just like reading them when they drop, kind of thing. But I do catch up, keep up. Let me change the layout. Why does it? I keep forgetting that it does that. So, but that may be a little bit better for folks. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
It's because of the
We're
way
so close now, aren't we, Pops?
I know we're
We're
like,
almost kissing.
hey, how you doing, buddy? What's going on? It's it's weird because it won't like there's not a non-time consuming way to make these bigger and yet be able to not cut them off. And you know how it is, like dealing with the freaking sharing a comic book these days. It's tricky. Weird. You know how this is kind of like the weird coincidences of life. So I was telling Gray before we started that I have a review that has, by the time you see this, folks, it's already dropped. The Captain Marvel 2012 book. I just kind of went back and read those first few issues, and Dexter Soy was the artist on those first few issues,
Oh,
and I
no
was like,
way.
my brain was like, whoa, this is weird. I actually don't care for his art on that Captain Marvel book. It feels very weird and disconjointed, but this Gunslinger book was fine. I did, again, just this is the kind of stuff where you have a book and you just have a great time. So
Look
anyway,
at
yes,
that, Pops. That image of that horse.
yeah,
It's deadly. I got to say, I
yes,
know, I know what you mean about Dexter Soy. He can be a bit hit or miss, but I think he's done a great job on this, and he's stepping into huge shoes, isn't he? It's
sure,
been
sure.
Brett Booth has been on this for 24 issues.
Yeah, so if because I think Brett did almost every single Gunslinger book. Like it's
He
pretty.
did.
I don't think he took any books off of this one. I think it was something else. Yeah. Anyway, Gunslinger Spawn, folks. If you're any fan of like that sort of like stereotypical action '90s comic, the detail in the art, you just want to have fun with a comic book. You don't need some deep hidden metaphors, commentary on social life and different things and relationship stuff. Gunslinger Spawn will be for you, and I have to thank this guy for turning me on to it, my friend. So, what's it like for you? Still going 25 issues strong, my friend.
Yeah, I know it's weird. I did a review of this as well, and when I was putting it together, it made me step back and think, wow, 25 issues. So it's pretty sad to admit this, Pops, but not many new titles make it to even 20 these days, do they? And
Yeah,
that's the kind of commentary on the modern American comic book scene, which I'm very, very sad to have to say that, but it's true, isn't it?
yeah. And this book, again, look at the detail and the art. It just the book it actually has this great sort of like twist and journey that kind of go on here where he's in basically the confrontation with this character.
Hmm.
Gunslinger Spawn does this typical sort of like action movie anti-hero trope of interrogation, and I went and I saw your wife and I have her wedding ring, and now she knows the truth about you, and you blah. So it's this very menacing get information out of the guy sort of story. That's pretty much all there is, really, with a twist at the end of what actually happened, so that you understand that Gunslinger Spawn isn't quite as a monster as maybe you thought a few pages earlier. That's all.
That was a good twist, yeah. By the way, just to shout out AC, Angry Canadian, he dropped a
Yes.
comment recently on this review and he was saying um, that can this act as maybe a jumping on point for new readers? He was saying, it feels like it's almost gone like back to not a reboot, but a soft reboot. It's Gunslinger Spawn on his own, on a mission, a basically revenge mission. What do you think, Pops? Is it a good issue for new readers?
Maybe. Let me go back to the top. Is there any sort of like summary on where we're at on things? That would always be the one key for a new jump in. Yeah, I don't see.
No, not
I
really.
would say yes, but I wish they had like because a lot of books will have that little inlay right here,
Yeah,
and you'll get like and I will say even the terrible books like a Marvel or DC book are usually easy to review for that reason. Like you can just pick one up and start reading it, even though it could be dog crap. But at least the catch up
they'll have a
box usually will
recap, won't
tell
they?
you a recap or something like that. I wish this book had a little bit of that, so you would know,
Yeah, the
because of
Spawn
the
books don't do
events.
that. I don't know
Yeah, they
why.
don't, and I wish they just had like a little bit of a, because of the
Mm,
events of the events of Spawn, Al Simmons ripping open the multiverse, and Gunslinger Spawn finds himself removed from the Civil War and dropped into modern times, and his
yeah,
world has been turned upside down ever since. Meeting, young ignorant Americans, and just quick little references to the a Dakota reference, and the clown coming face to face against the ultimate of evil and the clown, and Violator, and overcoming, and then he's back to his mission, that kind of thing. Now I will say I've been critical of the book in the sense of we kind of need to kind of get on with it, right?
yeah.
So
Not
this
only
this
you.
yeah, this sort of like what is his goal or mission and purpose
Mm,
in the book? Like, what are we doing? Because he's at least for now, he's not going back to the Civil War, even though we know that story is coming. They're going to do something with a Civil War
mm,
gunslinger back in his time, but we need to kind of figure out like what is his purpose going to be? Is he going to be stuck here? Is he going back? Is he not going back? That kind of thing. And I do fear that. I do fear this book will come to an end and they'll switch over to the Civil War story. So I'm happy. I'm still enjoying this book a lot. Still is a very high recommend for me. I think it's just a lot of fun. I would say it's a good jumping in point as long as you know enough about who he is. You kind of have to have a little bit of idea.
yeah, that's true. You need a bit of background, don't you? What makes it a little bit more complicated is if you're reading all four books, I've heard that the Gunslinger story is very different in the other books. They don't line up. So you've got the Scorched, you've got Spawn. Then King Spawn kind of works on its own, so that doesn't really fit in. But yeah, people saying the timeline pops, it's all over the place at the moment with the other two books.
Um, I think we talked about the mask change a little bit at one point.
Yeah,
Don't care for the newer mask.
not sure.
I prefer that just that there was just one mask and they have these different personas, and I didn't need the mask to
Mm,
change. I didn't care for that. But I'm not gonna downgrade anything major because I think that's still just an amazing look and amazing feel. I do agree with that criticism a little bit, in your head of trying to keep everything kind of aligned with the timeline. They do add
mm.
some editorial comments from time to time, but I feel like some of those things have kind of gotten away from them. But it tends to not derail it completely for me.
Oh
But I
no,
do,
me
I enjoy
neither.
this the most. Then I enjoy King Spawn. And I would say Scorched is third. I really haven't also read the main Spawn book. Also, I only do the main three, and then every now and again I'll go back and just read random Spawn books. I actually think I want to go back and just randomly pull up just different ones. And I've
I've
said
heard
this
news.
great.
Sorry, I'm not sure which issue it's from, but I've heard that I think Brett Booth is going to be on the main Spawn book in future.
Yeah, that's what
So
I heard too.
that's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
to look out for, isn't it? Definitely. But yeah, I'm
Yes.
with you. I've dropped off the main book. I'm not even reading Scorched, although I do hear it's good, pops. Yeah,
It's
too
still
too many
just,
books.
this is still just so much fun to read and enjoy. And yeah,
It
just
is
love it.
fun. That's all you need sometimes. I'm not saying this is the greatest story ever told. It's one I look forward to, and I always pretty much always have a good time reading it. I never finish this issue or one of these issues thinking like, what was that? What a waste of money. I never regret my purchase. I do buy
Right.
these, so yeah. And 2.99. Who can argue with that,
I
right?
know it's definitely on the cheaper end, and it is still just sort of like we were saying. It's just a fun time. Like we can just have fun. So and just to stay on Spawn briefly, but switch gears a little bit because I don't think I've ever had this conversation with Gray per se. I thought we'll just quickly get everybody really down the rabbit hole more with Spawn because this is something that I just don't spend enough time on. This is an older issue of mainstream Spawn 226, and this is when the print runs got very low. So the print runs got actually around the 20,000s. They did all these homage covers. So every
Right.
cover in this sort of like range, it's about a year or so, 18 months or so. This is obviously a homage cover to the Incredible Hulk 340, which was Wolverine and Hulk. These covers, these are incredible. So this is 226. There's 227,
Oh, that's great. Amazing
right?
Spider-Man.
There's 228. Yeah, he just kind of keeps going with this sort of like range. And so if,
Wow.
if people are really into covers, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, the
Awesome.
McFarlane homaging himself, of course. So yeah, if you are into just covers and things like that, some of these books are also just an absolute blast. And they, because their print runs drop so low, some of those things are hard to find. So I wish I
Yeah.
could tell you that the older Spawn books, there are some that are, you would think some of the ones are old are actually pretty inexpensive. And then you have these massive gaps where things are very expensive, and you're like, "What?" Well, the print runs drop down very, very low. But to Todd's credit, he used them as a lost leader and made action figures and just kept the wheels turning. That's what you kind of have to do. And wish the other companies had better sort of business plans to handle that. So yeah. Thoughts on those covers, Greg? I get you hooked up on a nice Spawn book from the 220s.
Oh man, yeah, I'd love to get some of those, in actual physical copies. Get
Mm-hmm.
the covers. Love seeing the homages to
Mm-hmm.
classic covers over the years. That was funny that you had Todd McFarlane almost like, as you say, homaging himself with
Well,
the
he did.
Batman
He
based cover,
he.
wasn't it?
The famous. He is the king of this, right? So the famous book
Yeah,
that we pulled up there, the Amazing Spider-Man 300, the first
Spider-Man.
appearance
Yeah.
of Venom, right? He basically homages it in the next issue because he puts the red and blue costume back on Spidey, right? So the next
Mm.
issue of 301 is an homage to the previous issue,
To the previous one, yeah.
right? And then when he starts his new book, Spider-Man #1, which is the one where he's kneeled down, that book he homages it with the black costume in issue number 13. So Todd is the go when it comes to that kind of stuff. He just has a brain that worked way ahead of everybody else on some of that kind of stuff for sure. Yeah.
Mm.
And there is, I think it's Scorched. They did the four covers. You know how the X-Men had the four covers that fit together
Mm.
as the puzzle?
Yeah.
They did it with Scorched. So I think there's certain issues that they did a cover for each issue, and it's like those are four puzzle
Oh,
issues.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. 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 You actually read something that I have. And by the way, last week, folks, if you haven't checked out that, go back into the playlist, watch my comic talk with Ego. Ego brought up Fail Safe Gray, and I thought he was
Oh,
trying to. And I said, I told him, I said, listen, I'm not going to deny the first couple issues. And Jorge Jimenez, all hail Jorge Jimenez, who needs to be on a Justice League book, in my opinion.
mhm.
That the landing of that, the Space Batman, all of that, and I kind of, Ego and I go back and forth a little bit on the validity of Failsafe and Chip Zdarsky. What's been going on in Batman? How bad has it gotten? If I missed something great, tell me what's going on with Batman, Gray.
Well, after the failsafe arc, Pops, it's been going slowly downhill. We had a story after that where you got Chip Starsky trying to be Grant Morrison, trying to echo Grant Morrison's run, but he was just nowhere near as good. He was being a bit goofy, a bit weird. And then since then, we've had a combined Gotham War story arc where you've got Chip Zdarsky and, get ready, Teeny Howard, the current writer of Catwoman, which is not a good book. They've combined and they're doing Batman Catwoman together. And oh, mate, I tell you, if you just look at some of the reviews recently, even the critics who used to give everything 10 out of 10, they've dropped their scores. So that's a sign it can't be good. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess, Pops. They've got like characters acting completely out of character. You've got Batman basically almost mind, I can't swear, but mind effing Jason Todd It's just, it's
Hmm.
just crazy. You know, characters that don't act like the characters. Who wants to read that? And people are saying it's not just Teenie Howard. It's also, Chip Zdarsky. He seems to have really lost the plot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, the Gotham War stuff. I'm gonna pull up Scorched Earth. It's this.
The latest one, yeah, and the
Yeah,
art on it as well. The art, no disrespect to Mike Hawthorne, who's a very good artist, but it looks really rushed, pops, and it's a long book as well. So maybe he had to get that, done in like ridiculous amount of short time.
and
Great.
they definitely set us up here, right? Because
Oh yeah,
look at the cover.
great
The
cover,
cover's
awesome,
rocking and rolling, man. That was some good stuff. I was like, oh, ooh, okay,
shocking
all right,
conclusion to the Gotham
yes,
War.
yeah. And then I got to change the formatting on here. Oh, this again. I I feel like so when I this is not the only book they did. There's another book that did this too. This to me was like I picked up a Nightfall Batman book, and I was being teased like a Love and Rockets comic book from the '90s. Like this is what it felt like. Like I was like, oh, what on earth? Oh God! And you're right. Look at the digital. There's no details. They have dots for eyes. It's all so generic looking. And then you get weird, shadowy stuff that's put in, like,
It looks like computer graphics, doesn't it, at
yeah.
times, and not great either.
And I don't want to. Who did the art? You said Hawthorne?
Mike Hawthorne, yeah, I feel
Oh,
bad for calling him out because I can't draw to save my life, but it's not looking good, I'm
um,
afraid.
I'm gonna. Okay, maybe it's a hot take. This some of the pages and some of the panels. Look at that. Oh, very the proportions just seem way off on Two
Mm.
Face's face. With Nicola Sismasija.
Mm.
Hmm. They did inks and then colors. Okay.
Got
Well,
three different
actually,
inkers. That's not a good sign either, is it? And later on, pops there are scenes with you've got Bruce Wayne and Jason Todd. I couldn't even tell them apart. Like I didn't know who was who at times. Like that one there. Like who is who here?
oh, you're right. Okay. Yeah, this is supposed to be Batman. This is Dick Grayson.
No, it's Jason Todd because he's got a little bit of the white in his. Can you see a little bit of
Oh,
his
you're
hair?
right.
It's,
There it
it's
is. Yeah, you're right. It is very hard to tell because they put the speech bubble over his hair. So I
yeah.
was like, yeah. And I hate this. I hate this cursing thing. Like the curse word thing. I know people like, it's fine. I'm not trying to be a prude, but I feel like
No.
it's just that's just
What they
not the
call them?
main
Is it
Batman book.
wingdings or something? There's a weird term for those, like yeah, that they use to block out the swearing, the curse words. Tom King loves them. He peppers his stories with them.
Hmm.
Just not good, is it? Very square faces, strange.
Okay, I'm not
Look at
gonna.
the eyes there. Oh dear.
Wow.
Sorry.
So, hot take. I don't know. Maybe I feel like this has some AI love in it. So I'll say it. I just feel like there's
Wouldn't
some AI love
wouldn't
where
surprise me.
it just seems because this is the word that I use repeatedly. I don't know if you say something similar. Other folks do too. Is how inconsistent the art gets because it just doesn't feel like when it gets you can tell it's getting digital and it's getting overproduced. It's getting
Mm,
overly computer interactive and not hand drawn. It's just inconsistent. You just end up with certain panels or things that are just way out of whack, right? Because like look how good he looks here compared to other panels where he didn't look right.
mm.
Even this, the proportions with the jawline, very narrow. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like a Sinister Six type story, but I just look at there's just the bike has nothing on this one. This is the level of details. A couple of little marks and um yeah, just couldn't. Huh. Well, you're not encouraging me that Batman was turning around anytime soon.
No, sad to
Um,
say that because I've been a big, as you know, a big Batman fan for years and years, and I've actually I'm not buying it at the moment. I'm kind of half reading it just to, believe, like, try and believe what people are saying about it, but it's off my pull list.
Yeah, that's terrible. Just not good at all. So it's a shame.
Mm.
Yeah, I really felt bad because Ego bought Failsafe, and I had to admit, no, I'm not doing it. Just part of where I'm at. I'll review, I'll discuss, I'll go through things, and then I will look for buying, and I will buy in bulk Spawn books and things that I actually want, and then I will
Mm.
do my best to try to make those available to other people. Like, I'll save you the. I think that's part of what needs to happen too, and where uh, we've come up with this term for old pops here, Gray, the curator. We'll cure. I'll help curate the noise of all of this, and then hopefully be able to have a place to be able to get people what they need. Um, to
Was Ego enjoying the Batman run at all? Is
He
he still buying
enjoyed
it or
Failsafe more than I did. He's a graphic
okay?
novel reader, so he'll wait until he has graphic novels. I
Oh,
don't think
okay.
he was buying individual floppy issues, but even he was conceding most of my point. But this goes back to when most people have differences. The first thing is usually like I'm always litmus test. Like I'm always told that I'm wrong or whatever, but usually I'm not. It's just about something doesn't matter as much to the other person. Like something
Mm.
matters more to me. I think that's kind of where we're at on failsafe. Like Ego has less of a problem with some of the elements, but he's not denying that they're not problems. It's just like it didn't bother him as much. Whereas for me, I just can't do it. And part of it's just the Batman love. I just like you. It's at the core of our entire love of this art form and this genre and everything. So when Batman's out of whack, it makes me less happy with everything. Like it just makes me less. I wish I could have the glory days where I had 4 Batman titles that made me just want to wait till the next Wednesday to get the next one to get the next one. But that is not the case right now. And
Remember
Gray,
those
you didn't.
days? Yeah. What you talked about before, I picked up. I don't have the individual issues anymore, but I've got a graphic novel of not Nightfall, but Night's End, which was the
Mm-hmm,
concluding part.
mm-hmm,
I read the first 2 issues in that,
mm-hmm.
pops, just for like a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Denny O'Neil on one and
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Dixon on the other.
Dixon, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The difference was unbelievable. It was like this is entertaining comic book storytelling, and then you go to read the latest issue of Batman, and you're like, I don't even recognize the character anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I actually had I don't know why. So a lot of times what I'll do with a graphic novel is sometimes it'll be my spacer in a book. So if I sold some comics out of a box or something like that, it messes up your spacing, right? You don't want your
Mm.
books to fall over in the box. I put a graphic novel in. It turned out to be Lost Halloween, the Long Halloween,
Oh, the Long Halloween,
and I
awesome.
was like, oh, so that's some good reading. Long Halloween is like
Let's
gold,
have a
man.
look.
It's a
Just read a
freaking
little bit before you know it. Like 2 hours have passed, and you're like, "Wow, this is
oh yeah.
amazing."
Yeah, that hasn't gone back in a box. We've been going through that one. So I love that book. Yeah, that and Dark Victory are just they're
That's
so
so
much fun for me.
good.
So much fun for me. So all right, so we wish we could give you great recommendations all the time. So
Mm.
this is Avengers 6. I have been reading it. I haven't been doing videos on it. I think I did a video and kind of mocked issue number 1.
Okay.
They redid the team. They made it very Captain Marvel centric. What I will say is I actually enjoy the book, and I think the idea of the Avengers feel like the Avengers. Everyone kind of behaves right. Thor behaves like Thor. Everyone behaves right. It's just odd because we have Black Captain America. So we have Sam Wilson as Cap, and we have weird moments in pretty much almost every book. Like there's always like some weird moment or weird interaction with somebody, what they say or don't say, things like that. So, but it's not awful. And I say all that because I wanted to quickly run through a couple things, catch everybody up
Yeah.
a little bit on it. It's only a few issues. If it's not already, there'll definitely be a graphic novel because it's easy reading. It'll be fun reading. It'll probably hold up better in a graphic novel format. But yeah, it's a lot of action. It's a lot of fun stuff here. We do showcase different heroes in different times in different ways. Things move pretty well. But like I said, it seems like there's always a moment. And in this issue, this is issue number 6. So it's cruising along pretty well. I was having a good time with it as usual. And then I ended up with this spot with Captain Marvel. So she's flying through with this like tanker, and it's weird because with a character, and I don't want to get into the detail, derail our conversation, but with a villain like this, normal comic book, we wouldn't give him like a speech bubble like that. We'd have a weird way of lettering or doing the dialogue. It just feels weird for him to just have just a normal traditional speech bubble. But it's like, hey there, you Captain Marvel. Hey there, you are Captain Marvel. Are we doing this again? My entropy field will simply disintegrate whatever you throw at me. And she says, "This isn't for you. This is for me. Ignition." So she explodes it. She explodes, and it says, "You say you're an endless void. I say I am without power limit." Okay.
She has the power and she has no limits, Pops, because
I
she's
have
Marvel
the
wanted their
power.
yeah, that's going through my head as well. Marvel wanted their version of Superman, so they decided to
Hmm.
turn Carol Danvers into this ridiculously OP'd character.
Yeah, she's a little full of herself for sure, and I think that's the problem with me is I've become so jaded, trying to navigate through her as a character and things like that. So anyway, long story short, and again, there's always bad panels in Marvel. It seems like I can never get through a whole book. This one, Thor changes in this one, just the way they digitally, because this is he's done well earlier, but in this couple of
Yeah, its
panels,
face went weird there, didn't it? Look at
it's like
that.
it got very strange here, and then look, the exaggeration of the eyes and the yelling didn't hold up well either. Like he suddenly got a whole lot of eyeliner, and the mouth got disproportioned, and it's just like we just lose a couple panels every book. It seems like where some things happen. I mean, I think in the book I was referring to, the one video I did, it was like it's a typical thing. You do a panel and they don't have eyes, or they have dots for
Mm,
eyes, or it's just
mm.
they take panels off, kind of thing. So, but the brand new issue number 7, kind of caught my eye. First off, it's a good jumping in point in the sense of it's a part one of a new story. I think everything is, fairly solid. We get recapped a little bit, which I think is actually fine.
Mm.
So that Kang the Conqueror shows back up, kind of gives them a warning. So you get sort of a nice little catch up there, like we were talking about earlier in the show. We are talking about these recaps, something like to jump in with. So they actually did a good job with that, and Jed McKay has done a fine job with this series doing that. And what's great is we just end up in the middle of just chaos, like just stuff just happening. Vision appears to be dead, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is Carol wearing? And yeah, sure enough, Vision appears to be dead. The Avengers are barely together, and she is dressed in her traditional Carol Danvers look and feel. And I was like, what is going on? This is crazy. Now, I don't know about you, Grace. It seems like a lot of books will do this. They'll jump into stuff and then we'll go 2 weeks ago.
Mm.
I
Oh
hate
yeah,
that. I'm so
yeah, it
sick of
happens a
that.
lot. I don't know
um,
this costume by the way, Pops, because I don't know the character very well.
oh, okay.
I am only
Okay.
aware of the modern, the modern version of her.
Oh, very good.
That's
Well,
very
let's take a
cool.
pause.
She
Let's
looks
let's
sexy. Surprising for a Marvel
well, it's
comic,
interesting
a
that you
sexy
say
woman.
that. Let's give Gray a little hint of what old Carol actually looks like. We'll find some. So, just to give you some little slice of life, here's a art piece. This is a trading card from 2008. This is not my listing on eBay, so I'm not plugging my thing, but I do have these cards. Yep, there you go. This is
Okay,
cool.
cool. Look at that.
Yes, yeah,
2008.
yeah. So if you were to read the very first Kamala Khan, when she becomes Miss Marvel, she transforms quickly and she has this type of costume on. So it's like she's just quickly in that outfit. Like, gosh, what am I wearing? What is happening? So it's very scantily dressed. She is very voluptuous. She has flowing blonde hair and beautiful features. She also is very strong. So let me see if I can pull this one up. She is not to be trifled with, not because we're told she's powerful, because she also looks like she's going to, you know, beat you down a little bit. This is another one.
Wow.
Yeah, this is also 2008. So, yeah, the things have changed in 15 years for sure. So, she's got a completely different feel, look, almost like a Gina Carano sort of feel. Like, almost like kind of, sure, not want to get into a bar fight. So, yeah.
Yeah. tough and voluptuous at the same time. Have you seen the latest designs? They've slightly redesigned her costume. She looks like what do you call it? Someone who's a band in a brass band, or I don't think of the word. It's strange. They've just rebooted the series yet again, Pops. A new number one
Dear
came
Lord.
out last week. It was by Alyssa Wong, who seems to get every series she writes cancelled within a few issues. I don't know why she's on it.
Do they call it a Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel?
Captain Marvel.
So it's another Captain Marvel?
Another Captain Marvel series. I think it was last week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. Here we go. Let's pull that up. So let me stop sharing.
And to be fair, I read through it. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't
Oh, they
great.
have her in a jumpsuit. Oh, man. Look, so compare and contrast what we just saw with this is her new book and her new look.
That'd be
Golly,
a good way to
unbelievably.
compare. Yeah.
Yeah, Alyssa Wong. She's got like a vest on.
She's got a very mannish face. Masculine, should say. When you get this, when you see the costume, like a
Oh,
band.
look at how weird she looks here with her like a juvenile face. Yeah, she looks like she's in a band, like a marching band or like
That's
a
it. Yeah, a marching band member. Halfway between that and I don't know.
and she's got like the bike almost like a biker vest instead of having yeah. But see, you know why they do this? This had come out. I don't know. I don't even know who gets the credit of really kind of putting this together. They do
Hmm.
that for cosplay reasons, right? That's an easy
Ah,
costume to cosplay.
do you
You
reckon?
don't have to be voluptuous. You can throw on your shirt and your jacket, buy your jacket. You could wear, pants and it's like cosplay. And this is part of what somebody it's like and look, there's no details on her face. Like she has no wrinkles. She's got a little bit of coloration, and that's what they consider art now. Like and it kind of goes away here. The villain doesn't have any facial features at all.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
Lots of
other part.
purples there for you, Pops. Your favourite colour
Yeah,
in
I'm
comics.
loving my magenta, pinks, purples. It's all part of my comic book nightmare.
To say it
Yeah.
wasn't a bad story. It was quite intriguing, but she
Hmm.
seems to start well, Alyssa Wong, with the first couple of issues, and then she, not always, but often loses a plot after a while. After a while, and there's always a self-insert character as well, which is a
Hmm.
modern trend, isn't it? It seems to be. Oh dear, look at that lack of detail there.
Yeah.
That one,
On her
that's
face. And look,
terrible.
and again, consistency, right? Look at how different her face looks here than we saw at the
She
beginning
doesn't
of the
look
book.
human there. She looks like one of those crash test dummies almost.
Yeah, just look at the
A
facial
mannequin.
features are just they're never the same. Like it's just never the same. She has a different there's different features and proportions throughout the
Hmm.
entire book. So, um so yeah, so
Interesting.
with Avengers, and I want to just briefly kind of finish my thought
Oh yeah, I want
process
to
on
ask you
number
what got
7.
you to try that out, by the way, Avengers. What got you into reading it?
It was a number 1 and I thought, well, it probably is a decent enough jumping in point.
Hmm.
Um the first issue actually moves pretty fast because it's her recruiting everybody. I want you to be part of this team. And Iron Man is there encouraging her back and forth. And again, this is not like good, it's not great stuff. I wasn't out there like thumping the drum, go read this or whatever. Because I think that what is tedious and difficult is the interpersonal relationships between the heroes. They don't all act right. And you can tell how submissive many of them are to her. Anyway, so I was like, what is going on? We've lost Avengers. We have her in this old costume. We have this big, and I gotta be honest, even Thor, which I kind of like didn't catch it until we got to this panel. His costume's completely different as well.
Oh
This is
yeah.
actually a kind of a 95 throwback costume that was horrible. I hated that costume. It's this weird belly showing thing. He has this weird headband on, not his normal thing. So anyway, all this is happening doesn't really matter. I'm not going to waste our time with all these elements because what matters is what comes here very soon is we sort of kind of wake into this reality that this is actually not actually happening. It's Nightmare.
Okay.
So Nightmare is actually in charge of all this. So it's not actually real. And this is actually where we're back in reality here. So this is all in their heads. And I actually paused and I actually kind of laughed, Greg, because I thought to myself, okay, so Aren't they saying then that Captain Marvel's nightmare would that she would return to her voluptuous black suit self?
Oh yeah, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the kind of subliminal message there.
That's kind of the message, right? That we're kind of getting from Jed McKay. It's like, this is how they're set up in the book, and then when you get into the story of what has happened with Nightmare, and I went back and I started looking at the designs. I'm like, okay, so Thor's Nightmares, he's in his 1990s belly crop
Weird
top
costume.
costume and this Iron Man suit. Look at how it's like the one of the I don't know the Iron Man suits by name, but this is one
No.
of the weird design ones that would not be what Tony Stark would want to be in. Look at Witch has the headpiece that sticks up above her ears. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So I feel like the nightmare is also like kind of a metaphor here. You're trying to. We see what you're doing there, Jed. I'm not letting this go. Yeah. Captain Marvel's nightmare is that she's hot again, basically.
Oh my gosh.
And then we get to this panel, Gray. I don't know if you caught this one. It stopped me in my tracks. Like it felt like Scarlet Witch here and earlier, and then suddenly she looks like she's 12.
Hmm.
I'm like, what is happening? Like I don't. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Sorry, I'm trying to make that bigger.
It's strange.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's just
With the
like she
big wide
suddenly looks
eyes.
like a teenager.
Yeah.
And anyway, so yeah, it was a nightmare. Vision is here. There's the backstory, what's going on, things like that. So, and then you have um, this has basically been the setup of what Kang the Conqueror had come to the Avengers to talk about, and now you have this sort of threat that's now showing up, and that's kind of this. This is part one of this new story. This is all here. So, look again. It's not the absolute worst among comic book stuff, but it's also not something I'm out there cheerleading. It's not the Avengers that I fell in love with, where because the Avengers I fell in love with was like action of the week type stuff. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It was a time where the Guardians had come into play, and they had to restructure the Avengers because of government oversight, and they had to thin the team down to seven, and members would come and go a little bit, but basically every week there'd be a villain. They'd fight Absorbing Man, and next week they'd fight like a pyromaniac guy who accidentally is doing all these different things, and different heroes would be the key to saving the day. It wasn't like it was always Thor or always Iron Man and things like that. So
Hmm.
now it's like we write for 6 story arcs and things like that, so it's a little more drawn out. But like I said, not the worst book in the world, but not necessarily good either. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if you get a chance to check it out, let me know what you think. Maybe, I mean, I'm sure it's worthy of like, a mass amount of time or energy or taking you off of some other stuff that, you might want to enjoy. But so like I said, it's not the worst thing in the world for sure. So,
This week was a fairly not quiet week, but there were a couple of you could call big releases, pops.
mhm.
I thought you might have spotted this one or been curious to review it. Guess what came out on Wednesday? Spider Boy issue one, Dan
Oh,
Slott.
yeah.
So
Yes.
it's been getting pretty good reviews. People saying, look, it's maybe geared to a younger audience. It's a lot of fun. It's a bit goofy, a bit silly, but it's as far as I can see, seem to be enjoying it. If you take it for
Hmm.
what it is. So
Okay.
I read through it. I thought it was okay. Nothing
Okay.
special.
Yeah, no, I have not. I mean, I know of it. I didn't know it actually landed this week. I haven't seen any comments on it. It's not something I'm gonna race out to do. I have such a bad taste in my mouth about the Dan Slott thing because he's on that he banned me list, even though I've never interacted with him or
Oh God,
whatever.
yeah. I've heard so many people say the same thing. I probably am. I've never checked, but I probably am because
Yeah,
of my, liking certain tweets or whatever people I
yeah.
associate with.
But you Tim Sheridan as well. He's the guy who's doing the gay Alan Scott book or
Yeah, I was
whatever.
blocked by him. I've no idea who he is. Like,
Yeah,
no
so
interaction with
I was
him.
gonna go over to his things. I want to see this. I wanted to watch this video that he had done because he'd done this video. People were talking about have go by my comic book video. I was going, well, I'll go over to Twitter and watch it for myself. I don't want to take anyone else's opinion for it. I want to do it for myself.
Yeah,
And I was blocked.
that's how I
So
found out. Same
I was
way.
like, come on, man. And the irony is of the blocking thing, they're all so dumb to do it because it's not as though we don't have multiple accounts. I just changed my account and went into a different account and then went and watched the video. It's under, just I'm under a different account. I just have multiple accounts for different reasons. Not I don't know, like 18 accounts. I just have like three. I have like a business account and I have this and I have different accounts. I can see it. It's like no one's, it's just silly. It's like, dude, and first off, Gray, we are among the most, I want to say, don't take this as an insult, I hope, but the more generic and vanilla of the comic book reviewers. We're not out there like as or f bombs and calling them names and attacking them and
No.
we're just not. We're just like regular old comic book lovers from we just those guys and we'll just tell you it stinks. You're even, I don't want to say milk toast about it, but you're a lot kinder than even I am sometimes. Sometimes I can tell Gray hates this book. And then I'm like, he is really trying to just whitewash it as, I put this much time and energy into this video. I'm going to at least try to just get through it.
I know. Sometimes I'm so disappointed, but I don't know, Pops. Maybe I'd get more views. Maybe I'd get more subscribers if I was screaming and shouting, raging about things that I didn't like. But I try and give an honest take and just say, what I didn't like about it without all the fanfare, without all the exaggeration. And yeah,
You
there
don't
you go.
strike me as a screaming, yelling kind of guy, especially not over a comic book.
No, more
Yeah, I'm
more
not
more
either.
important things to yell about, aren't there?
And I'm not even like, I mean, there are times, of course, you get angry or whatever. But I don't, I don't live in that world where that's how I react to things. Like,
Mm, same.
I'm not, a comic book is not making me want to be that kind of volatile on a regular basis. There are moments where I get more frustrated over the shows, I think, than the comic books. The shows do
Okay.
actually make me angry because it's like it's such a softball sometimes, or they'll do something right, like the Loki show. Like they'll do this one scene right, and then the next scene is like the pace slows down, or they'll do something like 10 or 15 minutes later that radically is opposite to what we worked so hard to get right. It's like, I don't know. It's just, that does make my head just, yeah, that's why I had to make the little meme about the landmine to the face and stuff like that. Cause I'm like, that's inside my head, guys. I'm like, my brain's just like, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I am going to try to, by the time folks are seeing this on Wednesday, Captain Marvel will be right around the corner. And
Ooh.
yeah, hopefully there's been another Captain Marvel video or two. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to handle. It's hard to handle because they made her character so unlikable.
Yeah, they did. It wasn't helped by a pretty unlikable performance by the actress in that first movie either, was it? And what was interesting, Pops, after that, you could see her, it looked like her screen time was being drastically reduced,
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
Avengers movie she appeared in, wasn't it?
And I hated the, like, so it's like with normies, like for me with the Captain Marvel thing, it was like, she shows up at the very end of Endgame. She just flies through a ship. She'd been out here in the universe somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And Nick Fury had the ability to call her, evidently, right? And I'm like, okay, so hold on a minute. This means that Nick Fury could have just ended the Battle of New York with one message from the thing, and we could have just had her show up and just take care of things because this is dumb. Like they don't, they'd have never even defined what her weaknesses are. Like we really haven't
Mm.
seen her get up. She went face to face, toe to toe with Thanos and things like that. So I'm like, well, what? Is it like Unbreakable where you throw her in a swimming pool because she can't swim? Is it like what is it? What is the deal? So
No idea. She can take a
I
punch. She can take a Thanos punch, which was a great moment in Endgame, wasn't it? But
oh
yeah.
the theater groaned. At least I wasn't alone when that happened. I was like, oh, I I should watch the movie again, and I don't know that I can do it. So I will have to admit I should watch the movie again. That's normally
I've
my
never wanted
procedure.
to. Once was enough for me, and I
Yeah.
love the original Avengers. I love Infinity War. It's cracking movie. But
Yes.
Endgame, it was one and done. I was like, no, I'm
Oh no,
okay
I
now.
mean, I don't mind watching Endgame. I can get through Endgame
Okay.
okay. I could just skip a few moments, but I'm talking about I should watch Captain Marvel again ahead of this
Oh
movie
my
coming
God,
out,
I couldn't even
and I
finish it,
just
Pops.
can't bring
When
myself to do
yeah,
it. I don't
it
know.
was
I don't
just
know if I can do
dull.
it or
It just felt
not. It's
so
so
boring.
bland. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I should, because I saw myself, I should do maybe I should do a video or something on Miss Marvel because I did actually. I'm one of the few people that actually watched the show. It is not the worst of the Disney Plus shows. That's how bad their stuff is. It's like if Miss Marvel is not is actually among some of your better shows. It's just not a superhero show. It's like a little kid show. I was on
Mm.
with MVP was on. He made a comment about comparing it to like Lizzie McGuire, and I'm like, yep, that makes it. I'm right. That's right. Disney, because Disney Plus is. I've come to this conclusion that Disney Plus, Star Wars, and Marvel in particular, it's like Disney XD. I don't know if you remember when Disney XD was a thing. It's like for kids. It's sort of like it was not really Disney. It was kind of like tween stuff. And that's kind of what they do. They make these shows sort of like Disney XD. It's not really for adults. It's not really for the mass audiences. It's like this watered down version of stuff. So I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to see it. It's a holiday weekend here too. I'm going to visit my grandkids.
Do you know,
So
I
I
haven't
don't.
checked when it's out in Japan. I'll have a quick look now because I've heard
Hmm.
nothing about it. Japan often gets releases a lot later than the rest of the world for some reason, unless it's a massive, massive movie. Let's have a look.
I noticed that they keep changing the predictions and things like that. Uh, I've got videos on some of the Marvel stuff and how even like the regular sites are sort of like coming up with backup plans and what they're
Mm.
doing and dealing with, what the future is going to be like with or without Kang, those types of things. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Um,
It says here November 10th. I don't know when
oh
if
yeah,
that's
that's
the
this
same
week.
as
So you
you.
got the same time we do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Next week. It's technically it drops on the 9th here. The Thursday is technically the open
Okay.
because it'll be available on that Thursday, kind of like middle of the day or afternoon or something. So
Are you excited, Pops, for it? Are you looking forward
well,
to
other
it?
than content, yeah, I told my wife because she was joking because we saw a trailer for it. We went and saw a movie and saw a trailer for it, and she said she kind of looked over at me. I said, "No, I'm excited." She means to make videos, and I'm like, "Yep,"
Got no
and she just
desire
knows.
to see it.
Yeah.
Honestly, to
Well, I'm not
say,
going to pay. I'm not going to theater to
I
see
don't
it.
care.
So we will have some sort of accessed copy that I will definitely get through. I'm not paying for that. Um, yeah, it's just a tough place right now with Disney. They don't get any of my cash right now. So
Hmm.
I would rather buy a comic book from a local shop after I know that it's something that I want to own.
Yeah.
I would rather buy extra copies of things that I love to share with other people and have available. People know I sell things. I would rather profit off things I enjoy than try to ride the wave. I would do it. I would rather sell back issues of Watchmen and Frank Miller stuff and stuff like that we know we love, then try to ride the new comic book wave of nonsense. I wouldn't want to be a part. I don't want to be part of it in any way, shape, or form. So, well, brother, what else is what is something else that you're enjoying before we close here, real quick? What are we
There's
on
a
big game? Are we on issue 4?
recommendation. We're almost on the last issue, Pops. It's
Okay,
coming out in, I think Mark Miller was saying 2 weeks. It's going to be a double
perfect,
sized issue.
perfect.
Looks
I'm ready to go.
gorgeous. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. I can't wait to see how he wraps it up. I tell you, that is the comic book I'm most excited for every month. It really
Mm,
is.
hmm Agreed. Congratulations on him interacting with you on Twitter. I thought that was super, super cool. Even sharing your review and comments back at you and stuff like that over on Twitter. It's great to see
Yeah.
a
He does that with a lot of
creator
people, though, to
loving
be
his
fair.
fan.
He's really
Yeah,
good with the fans, it appears. He's delighted when people drop a review, if
yeah.
people, leave him even comments and things. He's really good at that. He knows how to work with the audience, I think, the customer.
Yeah, you and Eric in particular, it's like in the same, like within the same. I'm like, whoa, in the same scroll. I'm like, I'm getting my buddies hanging in here, hanging out, that's awesome, man. That's great, and it's fun because it's like we want to like things, and we want to be happy for them to
Yeah.
like things. Like, go buy more books, go order more books, get this book, it's good, that kind of thing. So so that's awesome. That's awesome. So, well, great, my friend. Thanks for everything, hanging out with me, doing another comic talk. We'll be back over on your channel next time. So that'll be super cool to fun to do. Get back
Yeah.
into our routine and rhythm again after all the real life stuff kind of slows us down from time to time. But anything else on your mind or thoughts you want to share with anybody before we close?
No, not really. It's just been a blast catching up. Really good, yeah, to have a good chat about, positive things. Pops, we were very
Mm,
positive, weren't we today? I thought, even when we were
yeah.
kind of taking the Mickey out of things, we were doing it in a happy, smiley way, which is important.
Yeah. 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 And at some point, I mean, the bar is so low for me when it comes to, the Captain Marvel topic and stuff like that. I'm just
Uh,
like, the bar's pretty low. Batman, I'm the same way now that my bar is so low. Other than like the Mark Silvestri book, there hasn't been anything really recent that I've
mm,
enjoyed.
that was good.
Black
Yeah,
Mirror, I think, was fantastic. That was from a few years ago, right? So that was a great, great little story,
that
things
was a
like that.
great story. Yeah, that was Detective Comics.
Yeah. So there's moments that are so spread out. And you almost feel like, okay, there's no reason to get super bent out of shape because that's like the new normal. But we were able to celebrate Gunslinger and folks over there
Hmm.
doing some good stuff. And it's been a great time. So, folks, keep your recommendation stuff. Make sure you are checked out this guy's channel. He's more of a real time reviewer, too. If you want to know like what's dropping on that day, what you got to run down to your local shop and grab, he's that guy. So, but folks, thanks again for hanging out with us. Check that playlist below if you want to watch some of the other comic talks. He's been on with us several times, so that'd be super cool to see that. And hopefully you're out there enjoying the hobby and having fun. And love to hear from you. So take care, everybody. I am Pops.
Pop, pop, pop music. Pop, pop, pop music.